Hi there, I'm Mark Phillips, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Enhancing the Human Experience, the podcast designed to help you get the most out of life. And in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing a book with you. It's called Kid Capitalist, What Every Kid Should Know About Owning a Business. And the author is Tobe Brockner. He runs a web media business, content marketing, branding, website development business here in Boise, Idaho. And I really loved this book, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, specifically because one of my passions is about sharing knowledge with children. You know, if you share really good knowledge with children at a young age about how the world really is and how to really get ahead in life and how to use not only our brains and our thinking power and our minds and our consciousness to get ahead, but also practical knowledge, a lot of which is in this book here, right? It's not all just practical knowledge. He does talk about success principles in addition to the business information in the book. But, you know, giving this information to kids at a young age is just going to help them go that much further, right? Because all of us have other individuals to thank for wherever we're at in life, for our level of success, whether it's family members, parents, uncles, aunts, whatever, no man is an island kind of a thing, right? And so we've all got someone else to thank for where we're at in life. And so the more we can help, future generations and other people by sharing this, best practices for the business of living, like I talk about, the better off. And so this book definitely fits that criteria. And it's really good, and it teaches kids about entrepreneurialism and business. And I'm going to go over 5 of the big takeaways that I had from this book. There are many because it's really good. I took like 3 pages of notes with this book, and it's all really good. The business knowledge is really great in there. So these are my top 5, but there's a whole bunch more in there. So I definitely recommend you checking it out on Amazon. It's available in Kindle and paperback form. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes on my website at gmarkphillips.com. But my first big takeaway was this. Overall, he just makes you aware, or your child aware, that the option exists for them to be an entrepreneur, right? And this is huge because for any of us, if we don't know that the option exists for us to be something or do something or have something in life, the door will be permanently closed and it'll be really virtually invisible to us, right? Brian Tracy talks about this in one of his videos, and he said, the reason most people don't become wealthy is it simply never occurs to them. And that's huge because when your dream is cloaked and you don't even know it's there, obviously you're never going to get it. Now, once it comes into your field of awareness, and once, a lot of wealthy people talk about this, that at some point in their life, they're just walking down the street doing their own thing, and they saw a wealthy person either driving a nice car, living in a nice home, wearing nice clothes, having a life that was radically different from theirs, and it occurred to them at that moment that they wanted that, right? But if you don't ever see that person and you don't ever see that lifestyle, you don't know it exists, it might as well not exist to you because you'll never get it. None of us will ever realize something unless it comes into our field of awareness, right? And so I like the fact that he makes a point in this book to talk about that and says, hey, this option is available to children, right? And in fact, he wrote the book because his own child was kind of like, I don't know what I want to be, Dad, and I don't really know what you do either, right? He was kind of talking with his kid one day, and his kid was like, well, I don't really know what an entrepreneur is or what a business owner does. And that's really valid because in our world, it's changing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's changing, but for the most part, children are on a track, right, in the education system, in society in general, in our culture, to go to school, go to grade school, high school, college, get a job and work, 40 years and then retire. Now, that's changing fast because the world is changing, right? Systems are breaking down. Well, they're not breaking down, but systems are changing, right? Out of necessity. And so that old model is becoming is changing, is transforming. And that's why I think this book is really perfectly positioned for our point in time right now to start helping kids wake up to the fact that, hey, look into this at least. If you choose not to be an entrepreneur or business owner, which it's not all walk in the park. It's not all, wine and roses, right? It's not just this like fairy tale land. It's real hard work as well. But then again, going to work for someone else is hard work too. You just have to weigh your options. But I like the fact that he gives kids the option and helps them start thinking along those lines, because the reality is your child's not going to get that in mainstream. They're not going to get a lot of that in the education system unless they're in a private schools or some type of a charter school, or even the schools that are priming children for entrepreneurialism that are coming out, right? Again, because of that need. But in the mainstream education system, your kid is not going to be exposed to this type of knowledge. And so I like the fact that he's giving us that in this book. So that's my first big takeaway, is that he's just making your child aware that the option is available to them. My second big takeaway was the fact that he points out that it all starts with an idea, right? And he's big on sharing the fact that whatever business you start, it's about solving someone else's problem, right? If you can solve it really well, your business is going to succeed. But he all goes back to that idea, which we know that ideas are the kernel and the seed of everything, right? One of my favorite quotes by Buckminster Fuller, was an amazing individual who created so many cool things well ahead of his time, right? Inventions and architecture and whatnot. He said, ideas plus energy equal wealth. And so idea is always that kernel. So like Tobe talks about, he said, hey, if you've got an idea, you got to throw it out there and test it in the market and see if it works, right? Your business will always be built upon an idea. And I like that because it rings very true with what I've learned in my life and what I see in the world. So if you have an idea where you think you can serve someone else and take away a headache, make their lives easier, better, then go for it, right? Build your business around an idea. The third topic that I want to talk about is he goes into the notion that human potential is virtually unlimited, right? And he talks about the fact that we don't know what we're capable of doing until we actually do it and try to do it. And again, one of the undercurrents of this whole book is this notion of waking your child up to the fact that, hey, you're capable to do whatever you want to do. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got it within yourself to do it, right? It's planting that seed of worthiness and deservingness and really letting them know they have the ability. Because as we all know, there's a large kind of pervasive doubt and negativity in the world that keeps human beings from expressing their true greatness and from being all they can be. And that's one of the things that's great about this book, is that he really conveys in a really tangible way to children that, hey, you can get this. You can do it. There's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of dispelling of the myth that you've got to be a certain person or know certain things. It's just, if you want to do it, go for it, right? And that empowers children to go for their dreams. And I really like that. And along those lines, my fourth big takeaway was the fact that he demystifies entrepreneurialism, right? And because it always has been kind of this esoteric idea, right? I mean, what really is an entrepreneur? And he breaks it down in a really tangible, clear way and takes you behind the scenes to what an entrepreneur really does. Not only like the ideas and the problem solving that I talked about, but actually the day-to-day functions, talking about cash flow, talking about negotiations, and talking about business-related activities that are vital to being an entrepreneur. It's not all pie in the sky, ideas and dreaming and stuff like that. There are real practical applications where the world will crush you if you don't have those things in line, specifically talking about cash flow, which many entrepreneurs, business owners, my understanding is that is the number one thing that will kill a business, is if you lose your cash flow. So he talks about that, and I like that. Number 5, here is that I like the notion that he talks about a business is about trading value for value. Even, in fact, his business, his web design, content marketing, branding business is called V squared, and that is value for value, right? I like the way he puts that. I've never heard another business owner or business book talk about it in that way. And again, that makes it really tangible about what you're doing, right? You're trading something, you're bringing value to the marketplace and trading for someone else's value. In this case, it could be money, it could be other services, whatever. Typically, it is money, where you trade something you're good at for something you need, right? Value. And he talks about the notion that everyone wins in this situation. And I like that because that's how I think coming together as human beings and sharing best practices, right? Someone else's value for your value, we all come up together and we all benefit, right? That's how I think about the human experience as in general. And so I like the fact that he talks about that. But overall, I just think it was an amazing book. And I want to be really clear. Obviously, I got a lot out of this, and I've read a few business books in my day, and this one really does rank up there with some of the best. Mark Cuban, Brian Tracy. I could go on with a number of other business books that it really ranks in there, and it's good. Obviously, Tobe knows his stuff. He was kind of what I gather from the book, like born an entrepreneur, right? Had that mindset early on and knew what he wanted to do, that he didn't want to go work for someone else, that he wanted to forge his own way and go off and make his own business and profits and make his own mark on the world. And it really comes through in the book. It's very strongly written, really knowledgeable, and I know it'll help your child get a real understanding of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And also like I said, I got a lot out of this book. I took 3 pages of notes, and it was just really great. So that's my review of Kid Capitalist. Again, I really recommend you go checking it out in the Amazon Kindle store. And thanks very much for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. And one last thing, if you like this podcast, it would mean a lot to me if you would head over to the iTunes store and write a quick review. I really would appreciate that. And of course, share this with someone who you think might need this information. And I'd appreciate it. So thanks very much. Have a fantastic day. And until next time, have a great one. Bye-bye.